Good day, ladies and gents. This is Bob Myers again, giving his thoughts on another Muhammad Ali fight that I had not, kind of reviewed before because it was not listed apparently as a official Ali fight because this one featured Antonio Inoki as his opponent, and if you know. Antonio Inoki, he was a wrestler. So this fight pitted a boxer, Ali, and Inoki, who was a wrestler. So it was basically the start of mixed martial arts and pretty much the first UFC game before UFC had ever been thought of or invented. This was in April of 1976. Negotiations for the fight had started a year earlier in 1975 when Ali had met the Japanese president of the World Wrestling organization or association, and he said, none of your people are willing to fight me. And Antonio Inoki took him up on the challenge, and a deal was reached, and the day was set for April of '76 for the fight. Now, because of the different time zones and different types of circuit televisions, the fight was not able to be aired in the US until June of '76, which was 3 months after the actual fight had had happened live. But it happened in Budokan Arena in Tokyo, Japan, and some people say it was fixed only because there were restrictions put on Antonio, because they only restricted him to solely use his feet, and he was only able to use his feet. He was only able to use his feet. There was a list of restrictions. He was not allowed to throw, grapple, or tackle Ali, and could not land any kicks unless he had one knee on the mat. Now, the rules for Inoki should prove to you, I've known this since I was a kid when I watched wrestling for the brief time that I did, that wrestling is fake. Boxing was not. Some say it is now. And it was not in Ali's day, because clearly you can see it was not, fake. Because even in this fight, Ali said, basically, bullshit with the rules. I'm going to fight, a real fight, give the people what they really want. And let me back up a bit. Because Ali said that because he found out that the wrestling organization that organized this thing wanted him to basically throw the fight and kind of try and knock the referee out towards the end of the game, towards the end of the match, and then the referee would come around and pin Ali to the floor or whatever, and count him out, all in an effort to glorify Antonio Inoki in his own home country and glorify him as the winner of the fight. And Ali found that out and said, screw that, I'll give people what they want, and I will fight the real fight. I'm not going to throw it. He's never been one to throw anything. Ali, as you saw from my previous, Cassius Clay, Ali thoughts in a previous video, I said Ali has never been one to throw any fight. He's always given his all, and even in this one, he's been given his all. And after Ali said, screw the rules, Antonio Inoki began training and even surprised his own promoters and trainers by, giving the tryout sparrers that he was sparring against to practice for the Ali match, this one, a real fight. And he said, I'm going to give a real fight too. But it's clear that there were restrictions against Inoki because of wrestling being what it is, fake. But, it's clear either way that both men did not want to disappoint the audience, and they both wanted to give the audience what they came for. They really wanted to give them a fight, and they did. But a lot of it was Inoki crawling around like a spider, using his feet to try and trick Ali and, take him to the floor and try and knock him down. But Ali, being one of the quickest athletes, he's very quick, he's very thought out, he thinks things over in his head very quickly, he knows what's coming, so he, basically saw the potential hits coming, and he was on guard the whole match, and he was only knocked to the ground like 3 times. And Inoki, the only time I saw him, I watched this, obviously, the only time I saw him, there were times, but the only time I fully saw him, up on his feet for the longest period was the last round, round 15. There was a round in the match where Ali punched Inoki and made him fall down on his back, and again he crawled around. But like I say, Ali, he's never been one to throw a match, and I think the match was declared a draw, which shocked the audience, and I think that's a bunch of bullshit, because Ali, Ali was the one who did most of the fighting. He was the one who, played Inoki's game, and he mostly used his feet too, but he did, boxers use their hands, but he was the one who did most of the fighting and most of the work in the match. So I think he should have gotten the $6 million that was promised, and it was declared a draw, which is a bunch of bullshit. But one of the things that I admire about Ali, and one of the things that I also admire about Antonio Inoki, is that they're both very cordial men. They don't, take each other's guts out for the sake of the audience thrills. They're very fair, and that's why Ali used his feet, because Antonio Inoki used his feet, and he's a very fair opponent, and both men are, and you know, they'll realize it's only a job they have to do. And before the final round, as the bell was ringing, Inoki stuck his hand out and shook Ali's hand, and afterwards, you know, they gave a hug to each other, and it was very fair and cordial. And that's one of the things that I wish boxers after Ali had, and I don't think they did. Like Mike Tyson, who bit the ear off of one of his opponents. I think he was a very dirty guy, but Ali set the precedent for future boxers after him. And this fight was poorly received because there really wasn't a lot of action on Inoki's part, and that's why a lot of the audience were disappointed, and they threw garbage, which took the janitorial employees of Budokan like a full day to clean up. But it's clear that both men gave their all, because after the fight, Ali, well, let me say, the right leg, the one that Inoki used for a majority of the fight and the majority of his kicks, was broken. And during the fight, Ali's left leg was badly swollen, and it started bleeding, and it led to an infection, and it also caused him to suffer 2 blood clots in his legs, which affected his mobility for the rest of his boxing career, which after this only lasted 5 more years. But clearly, and given the state Ali is now, he gave his all, and I think both men gave their all. And I think the fight was very unfair to Inoki, because his organizers, the organizers of this fight, didn't give him a lot of opportunities to use his full strength and abilities. And I think that part was, in a sense, fixed. But it turned out to be a good fight, and I think both men really gave their all in the end. But, you know, to an extent, like I say, Inoki's, you know, abilities was fixed, but you know, the boxer, Ali, I don't believe his was. He was just kicking a lot because that's what his opponent was doing, and he wants to be fair to his opponent. And that's that. He's a very fair player, or a very fair boxer, very fair, you know, he's very fair to his opponents. He's not giving the audience a bloodbath just because they ask for one. He's very fair to the opponents because he knows that they're the ones who have to deal with it in the end, and it's not solely based for a thrill for the audience. And that's one of the most things I love about Ali. He's a great athlete. He's one of the very few athletes that never took steroids or anything like that, and that's why I look up to him. And he's never engaged in any poor sportsmanship or anything like that. And Ali, you know, every athlete owes him a debt. So, and Inoki's a good man, and even after this fight, Ali and Antonio became good friends. And Ali, when Antonio retired from wrestling in 1998, flew out to Japan and came into the ring at the end of Antonio's last match, and basically said, he was talking about this fight and reminisced, and said what a great, you know, what a great friend he's been. At that point, they had this fight was 22 years old, and what a great friend that Antonio has been over the course of those 22 years, and what a pleasure it's been for Ali to be there on his last fight, Antonio's, and he was glad that Antonio was retiring because he would be less lonely, which is pretty funny. But it was a good fight, this one, and that's what I gotta say about that. Peace and love, guys. Hope you enjoyed my little chat. I know it's been a little long, so appreciate you sticking with me. Peace and love. Long live Ali and long live boxing. Bye bye.